Okay, next I want to talk a little bit about Boolean functions. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and import a sphere, and I need a second object, so I'm going to hit Meshmix, and just to keep it easy, I'm just going to go ahead and import another object. Maybe I'll import this torus. And if I were hovering over the sphere, if you recall, it's going to land directly on the first object, right? It becomes part of that first object. But if I were to mesh mix something and drop it next to the object, then it's separate. So I can hit accept, and now if I go to view and show my object browser, you see I've got two separate objects here, and you can make them invisible, so I can click on the eye and to hide the object or show the object. And then this is as well how you choose between the two. I can also go in here and I can duplicate an object. So for example, the sphere, if I hit duplicate, now I've got a sphere copy. You don't see it, but if I hit T to transform, it's there. It's just right next to it. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of that for now. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete that copy. So I've got these two objects here, and what happens if I click on one of these, I hit transform, I can move it around. I want to have these overlapping for the sake of this demo. So here they are, kind of hugged over it. Maybe I'll bump up the scale. Hit accept. Okay, so if I click on both of these, so currently I've got this torus selected, it's the mesh SO25, and then there's the sphere. If I hit shift and click on the other object, then they're both selected. And once you select two objects, then you get some different functions. So you get duplicate, transform, align, create pivot, combine, and then you have three different Boolean functions. So this is what I want to talk about. So first is Boolean union. This is a cool function. You can tell from the icon what it's doing. It's basically taking two objects and combining them into one. So if I hit Boolean union, then they're actually merged into one single object. And you can see that here, the object browser is showing only one. I'm going to undo that. And so again, they're both selected. And then I'm going to do a Boolean difference. This is cool because what it's doing is it's going to only keep the difference between the two, so Boolean difference. So here you go, now I've got my weird kind of apple core shape right here. What's important to note about the Boolean difference is that the sequence in which you click on the objects affects what is kept and what is discarded. So in this case, the sphere would have been, I selected the sphere first, and then I selected the torus. But let's go ahead and do that in reverse. So I'm going to select, I'm going to select the torus first, and then I'm going to shift and click the sphere. And now I'm going to do a Boolean difference. And what you'll notice is it's kept the torus, and it's using the sphere as the kind of shape to subtract from the torus. So that's Boolean difference. And then lastly, we've got Boolean intersection. And Boolean intersection, let me just move this a little bit, change the scale. So the Boolean, oops, sorry, one sec. Accept. Okay, so if I select them both again, then I see Boolean intersection. So this is actually only keeping the parts that overlap between the two objects. So if you can tell, it's kind of a weird thing to kind of imagine, but it's basically taking only the overlapping portion of those two objects. So those are my Boolean functions. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And the next thing I want to talk to you about are importing objects into Meshmixer. These are the 3D scanned objects, or things that you find on Thingiverse, for example. So there's a few places to find these scans, and there's links in the assignment on Canvas, but there's one that I don't think I showed you very much yet, and this is Scan the World. So if you go to myminifactory.com, or you just type in Scan the World in Google, you'll find this website, which basically has a huge selection of different scanned objects from different museums around the world. These are the ones that are pretty high resolution, so you're going to want to probably reduce them when they get into Meshmixer. So I've already scanned a couple of these, and or I should say I've downloaded a couple of these. So I'm going to go back into Meshmixer, and I'm going to go ahead and import the ones that I've downloaded. So last class I imported the Institute Lion, and I actually reduced this already by 50% to get this small version. Let me go ahead and show you how I did that. So I imported this line. It's 14 megabytes, which is not huge, but it's big enough that it'll lag once I start getting multiple objects in here. So what you can do is I can go to Edit. Oops. I can select all, Command A, and then Edit. This edit window pops up once I've selected everything, and then I can go Reduce. This is very similar to the make solid function that I did in the last video, except it's already a solid object. So this is an easy way to do it, is I just hit Reduce, and you can see it's a little more pixelated. This is the 50% reduction, and you'll notice, by the way, this is kind of cool. So you've got shape preserving reduction, or you have the uniform reduction. And the shape preserving, you'll notice it's kept small triangles where there's more detail and large triangles where there's less detail. If I go to uniform, you'll see all the triangles are more or less the same size, so it actually makes it more kind of triangulated. And let's say I reduce this, let's see, where do I go? The other way. So if I reduce it quite a bit more, 82%, you can see that you really lose a lot of detail. It becomes a really pixelated version of itself, which can be kind of cool too. So I'll go ahead and accept that. And then I'm going to go ahead and export it again, just to see what that file size looks like. So this is reduced around 80%, or I think it was 86. And the format is STL. So let's go back here, and I'm going to see what we got. So this one is only 650 kilobytes, so less than a megabyte. So again, this is kind of how you can go from having a large file, 14 megabytes, down to something as small as less than a megabyte. So if you got objects lagging in your design, that's what you got to do, is reduce it. Okay, so I've got this object which I've reduced. I'm kind of liking this pixely appearance, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about how to slice off parts of your design. So once I have this selected, then I can go select all, right? So Command A to select the whole thing, and then automatically this window pops up. I want to go to Edit, Plane Cut. And my goal is to remove the base that it's on. So for the sake of this demo, I want to only keep the body of the line.